Hi, in this video we're going to tell you some things you need to think about if you're planning on buying land in Montana.
Hi, I'm Angie Friedner, and I grew up in Montana, and on this channel we are going to tell you everything there is to know about living in Montana. If this is your first time visiting our channel, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the little bell so that you are notified every time we put out a new video. We get calls every day from people that want to move to Montana, and we love helping them out. So if you're thinking about moving to Montana, please don't hesitate to email us, text, call, anything, so we can help you with your move to Montana.
So if you're going to buy land in Montana, the first and most obvious thing you want to make sure you find are all of the property corners. And you may think that's crazy and obvious, but there's been numerous times where people have bought land thinking the line is where it really isn't. There's, like I said, tons of stories about that. So make sure you find all the property corners or have a surveyor do it. As you can see right here, if you look at the pin, and if there's still a stake in the ground like this, at the bottom of it you should find a piece of rebar with a code on the top, and the code will match up to the plat map, which you can see right here. So that's one of the things that if you don't have a surveyor and you're just going off of the pins that you find in an area, make sure they match up to the numbers on the plat map. The next thing you want to check out is figure out how far you are away from utilities. So if you want to build your house way back there, let's say, you may have to pull your power a few hundred yards or a quarter mile, depending on where you're going, and that's obviously going to add cost to the house. So you want to make sure you know where all of that is. If you're in a subdivision that, in a town or just outside of town that's developed and not up in the mountains, then obviously the utilities are going to usually be right out at the street on your lot. But if you're buying a big piece of property up in the mountains, you want to make sure you know where the utilities are and where you're going to put your house, so you know how far you're going to have to pull your power to get it in there. So if you are buying a lot up in the mountains or outside of town, you're not going to be able to hook up to city water, so you're going to have to drill a well. And a lot of people don't realize how expensive that can be, and before you buy a lot, you should make sure you know what the well depths are in that area, because that can add up to $50,000 to the price of your lot if you have to go real deep for water. In this valley it varies widely. There's some wells that are 30 feet deep, there's some that are close to 1,000 feet deep. So before you buy a lot, you make sure that you know that added cost you're going to have for drilling that well. And obviously, even if the wells in the neighborhood are at 300 feet, let's say, that doesn't guarantee the spot you pick is going to be the same depth. So it will give you a good idea if you go to the water department and check the well depths off of the different well logs in the area. It'll give you a pretty good idea, and it should be close, but again, there's no guarantees once you start drilling the well that it's going to be the depth you thought it was going to be. So always have enough money to cover you at that point. And like I talked about in the building the house video, the first thing you want to do is drill your well, because if you end up spending way more on the well than you thought you were going to on the house, you're going to have to rethink your plans and figure out the finances in order to make everything work, because obviously you're going to need water. The other thing out on lots that are out in the country is you're going to not have access to city sewer, so you're going to have to do a septic tank. And all of the lots will have been, before they can sell them off, they have to do a percolation test on the ground to figure out what type of septic system will be approved, or even if they approve a septic system out there. So you'll have to look at those details on the property map, and it'll be platted out where they've approved the septic system. So again, make sure that fits in with where you want to put your house. If they put the septic right in the best spot of the lot, to build your house, then you're going to have to go and get that changed, and that costs a lot of money and delays in order to get that done. Nowadays, septic systems are 10 to 15 grand, and it's depending on the size of your house, and it's going to depend on the type of ground you're on as well. So these are things that you need to keep in mind if you're buying property outside of town or up in the mountains somewhere. Another thing people don't think about when they're buying big pieces of property, or even small, but it's usually when you get the bigger pieces of property, is if you're walking around the land and you see this and you're not sure what this road is for or where it's going, it could be an easement. So you're going to want to check into that and make sure that you know exactly what the title company on the title report will show any easements that are recorded. But if you buy a piece of property and you don't check on this, then all of a sudden you may have people that are driving right through the middle of your property to get to their property that's on the other side, or get wherever. As long as they have a recorded easement, there's nothing you can do about it. So you want to make sure you check that with the title company and make sure you're good with everything, or any easements. There'll be easements for utilities, or the normal ones you see. And there may be, in a lot of these areas around here in the mountains, there may be easements for mineral rights. A lot of times those are very old and they don't really mean much, because the company that claimed these easements did it back in the 1800s and it's still on the records. So a lot of times they're okay, but it's something worth checking into, so you don't end up with a gas company or somebody showing up on your front yard wanting to drill for oil or whatever they're after. So make sure you check those easements and make sure they work for you. And the last thing I want to talk about is, a lot of people want to buy a big piece of land, put in their money on a bigger piece of land, and then they'll just sell off a portion of it in order to pay for what they bought. And that's a good business plan, except it's not that easy. You can't, if you buy a 20-acre lot, it doesn't mean you can split it up into 19 1-acre lots and then you keep an acre. There's all kinds of rules and regulations on splitting the land. It depends on what's been done with that land in the past. It depends on the county. There's all kinds of things. There's all kinds of hoops you have to jump through if you want to split land. Some is easier than others, but make sure, if that's your plan, that you don't just buy 20 acres thinking you're going to sell half of it off, because that may not be an option. Check the zoning, check with the city or the county that you're in, and just make sure you have your bases covered and you know what you're getting into when you buy these pieces of land.
Thank you for watching our video. Our information is on the screen. Don't forget to call or text us with any questions, and we'll see you on the next video.